choice. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Njoki Shege. Now, Tanzanian journalist and human rights defender Maria Sarungi Tsehai, who was abducted in Nairobi on Sunday and later released, recounted her 4-hour ordeal at the hands of her abductors. She narrated how her abductors choked her while forcefully demanding for her phone's unlocking code before abandoning her in the middle of nowhere. Maria, who fled to Tanzania with her husband 4 years ago, claims that her abduction was due to her criticism of President Samia Suluhu Hassan's government. Melita Oletenges has more.
This video footage taken by a passenger shows a City Hopper bus trying to block a Noah vehicle believed to be used by the abductors of Tanzanian activist and journalist Maria Tsehai. Before the abduction, Maria was in the Chaka Place building at a salon where CCTV footage shows a woman in a cape trying to confirm if Maria was inside. Shortly after confirming and leaving the building, Maria was confronted and forcefully bundled into a waiting vehicle.
A black van stopped in front of us, and suddenly, like out of the movie, I saw two individuals coming to both sides of the door, and then they were yelling at the driver.
In the scuffle with the abductors, Maria was injured on her hands as the handcuffs tightened.
They were using some form of cloth, and what they were doing is they were putting the cloth on my nose and my mouth, and they were saying that you will not be able to breathe, so you have to shut up. But I was still fighting, and we were moving very fast.
She claims that the 4 men stopped 5 times along the road while making phone calls, speaking in Swahili.
I told them it's not possible, you're police, because you abducted me. And the guy on the left who was holding the handcuffs got very angry and pulled.
After about 4 hours, she says she was released under strict instructions and managed to find a taxi driver who took her home.
Because it was a very dark place, it was already dusk, and it was a rough road. So I walked until I got to what looked like a main road.
Maria, a vocal critic of the Tanzanian government under President Samia Suluhu Hassan, claims she is lucky to be alive, as many abductees in Tanzania have not been found.
This could have gone so wrong. There was a point in time when I was convinced that I was about to be taken across, and I knew the minute I crossed, you would never hear from me again. I'll become another poster.
Various human rights organizations and the Law Society of Kenya have condemned the incident.
This is a very dangerous precedent for Kenya, considering Kenya recently ascended to a seat in the UN Human Rights Council.
No investigation has been done, no investigation has been cleared, and we are not being told the people who are responsible.
Despite the attempted abduction, Maria says she will continue criticizing the Tanzanian government. The abduction of activist Maria Tsehai along Agwins-Kodhek Road here in Nairobi raises serious questions about the country's commitment in protecting persons seeking refuge in the country, with such past incidents negating the principles of sovereignty and non-refoulement as dictated in international law. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV, Agwins-Kodhek Road, Nairobi.
And still on abductions, political activist Buka Omole now claims that his life is in danger. Omole claims that unknown persons broke into his house in Syokimau on Saturday morning, accessed his bedroom before he opened fire and allegedly shot one of the intruders to repulse them. Gatete Njoroge with the details.
8 men here. And that's how I fired 3 shots. 2, they knocked my hardware in there, and 1 shot got one of them.
Political activist Buka Omole remembers vividly the events of Saturday night. What started as a small commotion turned to a nightmare after unknown armed persons accessed his home.
I had the first commotion at around 3, but I did not mind much. In another under 10 minutes, I had a scream, and I could get that voice. That was Yvonne's voice. I went for my firearm, which was just next to my bed. It wasn't very far.
Omole says he rushed to the door and waited for the attackers, who had already taken his relative captive. The relative was pushed inside his bedroom before the men accessed the room. It is at this moment that Omole, a licensed gun holder, opened fire to save his life.
They had this police combat. The only thing that was different is that they had a red muffin, all of them, that I called them. And then one person was holding a torch on the left side and trying to blind me, and that. And that happened in less than 10 seconds before I shot the first shot.
The broken windows are clear proof of the commotion that ensued as they fled from the gunshots. The political activist who has reported the incident at Mlolongo police station claims the attack could have been occasioned by his tough stance on matters governance in the country. Hours before the attack, he was part of a space conversation on X where they discussed recent cases of abductions.
I've had terrifying phone calls to tell me to stop my activism. I have also had a lot of warnings, even in general WhatsApp groups. Because remember, when we started this campaign for accountability, there are people who don't agree with what we are saying.
Machakos Police Commander Patrick Lobolia says his officers are investigating a case of attempted robbery at Omole's home. He also confirmed that 2 spent cartridges, 1 Marvin, were recovered from the scene of crime. Omole's gun has also been taken for ballistics examination. Elsewhere in Kinyambu, Kibwezi West, the family of Steve Mbisi has appealed to the government to release their kin, who was allegedly abducted in Mlolongo on December 17, 2024. Mbisi's mother says his disappearance has left the family devastated, with the father being admitted in hospital.
Sijasikia ripoti ya polisi, maana polisi wakiulizwa wanasema na wao hawajui. Sasa ni nani pengine nipate usaidishi?
Mambo kama haya hayafai kuwa kwa hii nchi, hayafuati sheria, na hata kama serikali itazidi kuendelea na mambo kama haya, hatuna budi kuwasilisha mashtaka kwa koti kuu ya dunia, tuhakikishe kwamba haki imetendeka kwa wananchi wa Kenya.
Mbisi disappeared a day after his 3 friends went missing under mysterious circumstances in the area. The 4 are yet to be traced a month later, despite calls from Kenyans to have them released.
I went to study engineering there.
Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And away from that, Chief Justice Martha Koome has vowed to stay put despite the pressure being mounted by a section of senior lawyers in the country to have her and the entire Supreme Court bench hounded out of office over allegations of gross misconduct. Speaking during the unveiling of the new Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO Abdi Mohamud, Koome said that her tenure is protected by the Constitution. As Emmanuel Toh now reports, former Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Havi has filed a petition seeking to have the 7 Supreme Court judges face a tribunal.
She has been under immense pressure for months now, with a section of lawyers seeking her removal from office for alleged misconduct and misbehavior. Monday, the former Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Havi, adding the names of the other 6 Apex Court judges to the list of the judges he once kicked out of office, asking the Judicial Service Commission JSC, chaired by the Chief Justice Martha Koome, to expedite their removal. In the sworn affidavit received by the JSC on the 13th of January 2025, Havi claims bribery allegations against 4 judges of the Apex Court in their handling of the 2022 presidential election petition filed by the then Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga against President William Ruto, which saw the judges pronounce Odinga's petition then as hot air and a wild goose chase. Similarly, the former LSK president claims that CJ Koome lacks leadership and direction as expected of a Chief Justice to lead the Judicial Service Commission. Harvey also referred to a 2022 contempt of court ruling in which he, alongside his assisting counsel Esther Angawa and senior counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, were convicted and allegedly barred from appearing before the bench. The lawyer, who has been a thorn in the flesh of CJ Koome, now asking the Judicial Service Commission to recommend to President William Ruto to form a tribunal to investigate and remove the judges from office. However, in a quick rejoinder, Koome, who has recently complained of cyberbullying and a plot to oust her, stood her ground, saying she will not bow down to pressure.
You asked me whether I would resign. I would also ask you, why would I resign? I have a tenure. I was appointed to serve for a tenure, and you have not given me reasons why you would want me to resign. So I think that is where I would leave the question. I think, unfortunately, I think we haven't received the petition. It's probably being processed there. We were there on the 7th and I didn't see it.
Koome, who was attending a luncheon to welcome the new EACC CEO Abdi Mohamud, vowing to continue with the cleanup of the judiciary with the help of the anti-graft body.
So we need to tell Kenyans that you cannot pay for government services. You cannot pay for justice. You cannot pay for judicial services. You cannot pay a public officer because we are paid by the taxpayers to give the service.
Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Anyway, from that, anxiety has gripped university students as it remains unclear on how their fees and upkeep for this semester will be processed following the scrapping of the new student-centered funding model by the courts. Now, the Ministry of Education, however, maintains that the students in first and second year of university education will have their funds on time as they had already been budgeted for. Brenda Wanga has more.
The first day of this semester finds Felix Sombaye, a first-year student at the Kisii University, struggling. He has no money to buy food and other necessities that make life on campus comfortable. He enrolled into university under the now-defunct funding model, and like others in their first and second years of study, he isn't sure what this semester holds.
The new year 2025 tumefungua shule. Tulikuwa tunafikiria serikali ingefanya marekebisho na funding model, lakini tungali tuna majuto kuwa hakuna marekebisho yoyote yamefanyikana.
The student-centered model was introduced in a bid to address the financial challenges that were bedeviling universities, but those funded through this model say their problems have only increased.
Serikali inastahili angalie sana, juu napata wanafunzi wengi wamepita mitihani, wamepata grade kama B+. Mwanafunzi anataka kufanya nursing, lakini ukiangalia fee yenye analipa nursing iko almost 200,000. Huyo mwanafunzi hatapata morali ya kwenda kufanya hiyo nursing. Mwanafunzi unapata hata ana choose hospitality ambayo iweze msaidia in future.
The model funded students through loans, scholarships and household contributions, while the government provided student upkeep money. Some students say they have been forced to use the upkeep money for the household contribution, defeating the purpose of the funds.
Sisi kama wanafunzi sasa hivi hata hatuna chakula cha kukula sahi, kwa maana tumetegemea hii help kununua chakula. Sasa hivi nilikuwa na kidogo nilichokuwa nacho.
Education NGOs successfully challenged the model in court, and they now want the government to revert to the provisions of the Higher Education Loans Board HELB to fund students.
The HELB Act guaranteed every student who attained the grade to join the university. The basic minimum, the remissions that the government was paying to ensure that those students are supported in college, and then you made an application. They already have forms. You made an application for the loan that you get. I think the maximum loan that they were already giving per student was about 70,000 per year.
Serikali kitu ingesaidia wafanye new funding model, watoe hizo mambo na band, alafu kila mtu ikwe equal, at least kila mwanafunzi akipata equal amount of money itakuwa sawa. Juu wengine tunatoka from low backgrounds, so tunapata pesa kidogo. Unapata hiyo pesa kidogo, unapata tena inafaa ulipe fee. So tunafaa sometimes, so wakitoa hiyo mambo na banding, at least tukue equal, watu equalize, then mambo itakuwa sawa, lakini si kama venye iko sahi.
The Ministry of Education, however, says it has appealed the court's decision to scrap the new funding model, but assured the continuing students that their learning will not be disrupted.
And the resources for those students had already been budgeted for, and therefore they will continue being in school as we work around the clock to ensure that we take into account what the court said.
At the same time, the CES has asked school heads to allow students and pupils to continue with their learning uninterrupted while the government finalizes disbursement of capitation funds. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Now, trouble is brewing at Afya House with the Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Mulongo and Medical Services Principal Secretary Harry Kimtai pulling in different directions. The war between the duo came to the fore today when the former Chief Executive Officer at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, that's KEMSA, Andrew Mulwa, assumed a new role as head of the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, despite revocation of Mulwa's deployment to NASCOP by the Health Cabinet Secretary, Deborah Baraza. In an open defiance to his boss, Principal Secretary for the State Department of Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, who effected the change, says Mulwa's assumption of the office is in order and that he is the legitimate authorizing officer. Seth Olale highlights the division at the Ministry of Health.
Barely 5 months after Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Mulongo revoked the deployment of former Chief Executive Officer at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, Andrew Mulwa, to the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, the former KEMSA senior official reportedly made a dramatic takeover of NASCOP's helm. According to a letter addressed to the Principal Secretary, Medical Services Harry Kimtai, by the Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Mulongo Baraza, dated 8th January 2025, the letter reads, and I quote, "Reference is made to your memo of 20th December 2024 with the subject deployment of heads of directorates and divisions. Following extensive consultations during the meeting held with you, the Director General and Presidential Advisors on Health, as well as subsequent discussions with the respective technical officers, it was unanimously agreed to revoke the recent deployment of officers to and from NASCOP and the Division of Health Aging, Palliative Care and Older Persons. As a result, the recent deployments are to be rescinded immediately and the affected officers to be restored to their original positions." End of quote. PS Kimtai had on 20th December 2024 issued an internal memo to the Acting Deputy Director General, formally authorizing the deployment of Andrew Mulwa to the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, with immediate effect. Similarly, Rose Wafula, who until today morning served as the head of the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, was moved to head the Division of Health Aging, Palliative Care and Older Persons with immediate effect. Speaking to Citizen TV, Principal Secretary, Medical Services Harry Kimtai stated, and I quote, "The transfers are a normal occurrence. The reporting by Dr. Mulwa at NASCOP is in order. Rose goes to head the Division of Health Aging, Palliative Care and Older Persons. Both officers are in the same rank of Senior Deputy Directors at the Ministry of Health. And that the transfer notice is in order. This has been done within the State Department by the authorizing officer. There is no formal appeal from the affected officers. We're still reviewing the memo from the Health Cabinet Secretary. It's not a war between the CS and me." Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Baraza is yet to respond on Mulwa's takeover at NASCOP Monday morning. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Still with matters health, and health services were paralyzed in several counties after nurses downed their tools in protest of what they term as unfavorable working conditions. The nurses' strike kicked off in Homa Bay, Kisii and Bungoma, with the healthcare workers vowing to stay out of work until their demands are fully met. The Kenya National Union of Nurses and the National Nurses Association of Kenya have given the government a one-week ultimatum to address their grievances, or they will start a nationwide strike on the 19th of January. Mary Mwoki has the details.
The ever-familiar song, synonymous with the fight for better labor conditions, also signifies the start of withdrawal of critical healthcare services for thousands of patients who were left unattended after nurses downed their tools in protest of what they term as a blatant disregard of their CBAs by their respective county governments. This industrial standoff has left many patients in trouble.
Nilikuja hospitali na mgonjwa, na huyo mgonjwa saa zingine hawezi hata kuunua mguu, na wananitoa nje nikuwe nje na mgonjwa. Sasa naweza kufanya namna gani na huyu mgonjwa yangu hawezi hata kubeba mkono?
Nurses in Homa Bay County have accused the county government of failure to honor their return to work agreement agreed upon by both parties in January last year. The nurses also accused their employer of exposing them to harsh working conditions and making statutory deductions on their payslips, but failing to remit the same to their respective entities.
Our strike has officially begun. We've written to the county of government to have our issues addressed. Issues ranging from one, failure of the county government of Homa Bay to honor and to fulfill a return to work agreement that we got into on January 2024.
We lack so many things, and we don't have things to help us assist you in serving you properly. That is, our working environment is not all that conducive to us.
The situation was similar in Kisii and Bungoma counties, with healthcare workers staging a walkout from their duty stations and leaving patients unattended.
And we are in it, and we are not turning back unless the county government start to engage us and implement the issues that we have raised.
Paka leo hii hakuna mtu ameita union kukaa chini waongee hiyo maneno. Chuguaguzi wasipokuwa kazini hakuna kitu kitaendelea hii county.
We want to urge the people of Bungoma to find services from other facilities, because we as nurses of Bungoma County, we are not going to offer our services until all our demands are met.
The Kenya National Union of Nurses and the National Nurses Association of Kenya have accused the government of systemic oppression and neglect of nurses, who say they are the least appreciated in the healthcare hierarchy, despite doing the heavy lifting in patient care. The two unions have threatened a nationwide strike from next week if the government fails to absorb UHC nurses on permanent and pensionable terms and offer clear career progression pathways, as well as standardized pay scales across counties. Solidarity forever. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
Now to some sad news here. A family from Orongo village in Kisumu East is appealing for justice after their kin succumbed to injuries sustained during a fight. 26-year-old Edward Otieno was reportedly beaten following a dispute over a wheelbarrow, which he took from his neighbor's house. Police say they are in pursuit of the main suspect, who has since fled from the village. Laura Otieno with the details.
A heavy cloud of grief hangs over the home of Nicanor Oruko at Orongo village in Kisumu. This family is yet to come to terms with the death of 26-year-old Edward Otieno, who succumbed to injuries sustained after a night of beating by his neighbor. Otieno is said to have accessed his neighbor's house on Friday to repossess his wheelbarrow. However, the neighbor, who has since been identified as Ford Rakwach, instead accosted Otieno while armed with crude weapons.
Mama wa hiyo nyumba alituambia alikuwa analala kitu kama saa 5, akasikia mtu anapigwa nje. Akatoka nje, akamuuliza kwa nini wampiga huyu kijana na hana maneno. Baadaye ndio sasa yeye wakamleta kwa hapa nyuma ya nyumba hapa kwao.
Eddie was rushed by his family to the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital, where he died while undergoing treatment. Kisumu East Sub-County Commander Edward Masibo says they have launched a manhunt for the main suspect.
Eddie aliuliwa bure sababu hakuiba kitu cha mtu. Alichukua tu bilibalo yake. Kitu tunataka ni haki itendeke. Kijana mkubwa haki itendeke. Muda patu asikwe.
Mtoto wangu alichinjwa kama kuku, mwili wake yote ilikuwa ni kisu. Ni kama ambaye mtoto wangu alikuwa na deni lake mahali. Nikasema Mungu wangu, hata kama alikuwa na deni, siangeniambia nikalipa.
The body is at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga morgue pending an autopsy. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Such sad news. Let's take a quick break here on Monday Report. We're back with much more in just a bit.
Coming up, the second and final part of a special feature, Batuk and Daughters.
Sour petroleum jelly repairs dry skin and moisturizes like no other. Non-sticky like no other. Great quality product from Pwani Oil.
These days, you have to shop smart as everything is so expensive. I shop smart. I always get a good bargain when I buy my mbogas from Mama Chege. I shop smart. I buy the 1 kg of Msafi, which costs the same as 500 grams of a popular detergent. I shop smart. Msafi removes tough stains and keeps clothes bright. And its pleasant fragrance keeps clothes smelling fresh. Chagua smart, value maradufu, na Msafi.
Your love story awaits this Valentine's na View Travel. Join our exclusive couples Cape Town trip from February 13th to 17th, 2025. Delight in Valentine's picnic, dinner at Land and Sea, a winelands tour, a full-day city tour, a peninsula tour, a cable car ride up Table Mountain, and exploring Bo Cap. All this in a 5-day adventure starting from $1,545 per person sharing. Visit viewtravel.com or call and WhatsApp 0703 254 254. View Travel. Dream, explore, discover.
Over the last 125 years, Castrol has been there, making moves with you. We moved aeronautics with the first ever transatlantic flight. We moved motorsport. We even moved space. Castrol said, we move, and we continue to say, we move. We move people like you, and you. We'll move you from Nairobi, Kampala, Kigali to Lusaka. We'll move you from Dar, Mombasa, Addis, Juba, Entebbe, Rwanda, and everywhere in between. That's the thing about Castrol. We move together, no matter what.
But I know that meat looks tender, but maybe not so much when your chest is burning. Remember what happened the last time? Hey, dude, you don't listen, man. Are you testing yourself? I tried looking out for you, bro. Hey, you see now? How's the heartburn? Look now, it's burning.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
We are the Cooperative Bank. We are you.
Thanks for staying with the Monday Report. Now, the president of Rotary International, Stephanie Yushik, is currently in Kenya for her first official visit. The visit commemorates 100 years of Rotary's efforts to improve health services for women, mothers and children right here in Kenya. Expressing admiration for the organization's impact, President Yushik committed to further investing in health initiatives both in Kenya and across Africa, building on the successes already achieved so far.
Rotary Family Health Days and saving mothers and children are important to Rotary International. So that's primarily why I'm visiting.
And so even the money that you put in, all the services that you give, even whatever you give in kind, we ensure that we are good stewards of it, and we will take care of your resources.
Your presence here today, Madam President, underscores the strong partnership between Rotary International and Kenya's healthcare sector.
They have chosen to partner with us to celebrate 100 years of existence of both Pumwani as well as Rotary International, which is a great coincidence and a very good commitment.
Now, it's been more than 6 months now since Kenya's Parliamentary Defence Committee launched an inquiry into alleged atrocities committed by the British Soldiers Training Unit in Kenya. Batuk has faced accusations from host communities related to cases of murder, then fatal traffic through hit and runs, sexual violence and exploitation leading to unwanted pregnancies, labor rights violations from Kenya employees at the Batuk barracks and environmental pollution. In its response, the British High Commission says that the UK government is working closely with the government of Kenya to accelerate the progress of investigations. Our senior reporter Seth Olale spent months documenting case studies involving victims of the alleged atrocities in Samburu and Laikipia counties, and now brings us part 2 of the documentary, Batuk and Daughters.
Old Chaula Memusi is being attended to by her 45-year-old mother, Memusi Lochede, at their village in Westlands area, Archers Post, Samburu County.
Wakati alipata accident, tukapeleka Kairu Hospital. British wakakuja wakalipa hospitali na alikaa 3 years sosi. Wakalipa, wakasema wataki kesi. Wanasema watashughulikia maisha yake, lakini baada ya kuleta nyumbani walienda wajarudi tena kushughulika mpaka sasa. Inafaa British wachukuliwe hatua, walipia hawa wenye wamedhulumu hawa na walipia haki yao.
According to a medical examination report from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations from the officer commanding police station Archers Post, Samburu County, under OB number 1323-1-2019, dated 23rd January 2019, Shaula Lechode, then 17 years old, was run over by a vehicle while crossing the road, resulting into severe injuries on her head and neck, abdomen, lower and upper limbs.
Kwa sababu maisha yanapitia, mpaka mimi nilikuja nikakuwa na ulcers. Nilipata stress mpaka hata sikumbuki kukula, nikapata ulcers hadi nimelala hospitali kwa sababu ya stress ya mtoto. Na wengine wanakosa hata saa hii masomo vizuri kwa sababu ya kutokuwa na nafasi ya kwenda kutafutia.
21-year-old Sabili Lemakima, Shaula's younger brother, was schooling with her sister at Gedre Primary School before the incident occurred.
Sasa kama nini mtoto kama huyu? Sasa maisha yake imeharibika hivyo. Juzi sana mguu moja. So ni kama hii ni nini yake ya life. Ataishi kwa hivyo maisha yake yote hivyo. So nataka tu amsaidie at least aishi maisha poa.
Memusi and her daughter, Chowda, were among victims who narrated emotional testimonies during a landmark public inquiry into allegations of human rights violation by the British Army Training Unit Kenya, BATUK, in May 2024. The inquiry is being conducted by the National Assembly Defense and Foreign Relations Committee.
Mjamboni tena. Asante sana. Najua nyesha mabaka ninja raka bakenda serikali ya joga mate nanu amuma. Msubiri. Mepakana na Isiolo. Hii ni vile program ilibadilishwa.
In Kenya, in the conduct of BATUK in Kenya. Na hapa nataka kuambia kwamba watulie kwa sababu sisi wenyewe tutaiwakilisha kwa bunge, and hii committee ni one of the serious committees. Sasa tutafanya kazi yetu, tutahakikisha kwamba haki imeweza kufanyika kwa wakaaji wa eneo hili.
Wana Mayana na wageni pia wale wako
Claims of human rights violations by British troops in Samburu and Laikipia counties not only involves rape, murder and hit-and-run incidences, but also cases of abandonment of children sad by British soldiers. Eighteen-year-old Mariam Juma is one such case.
My mother passed when we had no house to live, because the house that we used to live was a Manyata house. It's too hard here in home because we don't have place to stay. My brothers have not got good education because they have not furthered their education because they lack of school fees. Nimeshangaa sana kusikia mzazi anatoroka mtoto wake. Sasa nashangaa babangu mimi sijamkosea, mamangu hata labda hajamkosea. Sasa sababu ningependa kujua sababu yake kututoroka, sababu ya kutokutusaidia, na kuna mtu alimkosea. Na sijaisikia mzazi anatoroka mtoto wake cause mtoto ni innocent, hakuna kitu amemfanyia. At the first point pia hajaniona. Ninashangaa mbona alituacha, alitutoroka. I don't know, that is what I'm just ina ring kwa akili yangu. Nashangaa mbona out of the blue aliamua kututoroka.
Marian and his elder brother Lomanat hope to build themselves a house one day on this land their late mother left them, amid fears that the local administration intends to forcefully acquire the property.
Hii shamba imekaa hivyo bila hakuna nyumba yote. Sasa hizi ni miaka 18 bila huwa tunakomboa tu nyumba kila mahali.
Just like Lechode and Chowda, Mariam Juma gave evidence to the parliamentary inquiry into the alleged misconduct of soldiers from the British Army Training Unit Kenya, BATUK, in May 2024.
Nini? Guy.
28-year-old Jenerica Namoru has been struggling to make ends meet for her 5-year-old daughter, Nicole. Also abandoned by a British soldier stationed at the training station at Archers Post.
Baka kuna penye imefika anasemanga mama sasa mimi sitaki kuitwa mzungu. I don't know how she takes it, lakini sielewi mbona alifika hapo. Sijui kama ni vile anachokozwa sometimes. Kwa siasa. Anauliza kwani baba hakuji? Huwa sasa namwambianga baba ako mbali na penye ako mbali lazima tupande ndege. Na ndege ni kama 100,000 na. So nikimpea that statement sema kwa hivyo lakini atakuja nampea na mwambie tu atakuja. So nile kumwambia ako mbali sana. But atakuja.
Just like Marianne, Jenerica and a 5-year-old daughter, Nicole, submitted testimony to the Nelson Koech Defense Parliamentary Committee during its public inquiry into the atrocities committed by British soldiers.
The Royal Military Police at around 2002 conducted investigations onto these allegations of rape, which in their conclusion they did conclude that there were some incidences of this abuse. And I've seen several recommendations like in the TJRC report, which also note that there were abuses and sexual violence perpetrated against the Samburu and Maasai women by the British forces while training in Doldom. But all these reports have been left to, rot in shelves. I mean, there has been no meaningful implementation of the recommendations in this report.
Entities that have so far appeared before the National Assembly Defense Committee include Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Ministry of Interior, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, National Environment Management Authority, Kenya Wildlife Service, and some non-governmental organizations. Those also scheduled to present testimonials include Federation of Women Lawyers, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Labor, National Intelligence Service, and Batuk. According to EACC's report on 7th March 2013, the Commission received allegations of malpractices involving officers of the British Army Training Unit Kenya, Batuk.
One, standby, firing!
In collusion with public officers in Nanyuki. The specific allegations are Batuk Quartermaster, the Regiment Sergeant Major RMS, and the commanding officer allegedly received bribes to allow traders dealing in couriers to conduct their businesses within the Army's camps restricted areas, which is reportedly illegal. The officers reportedly demand 500,000 Kenyan shillings per trader and later take 30% of total sales from the traders. It is also alleged that some of the shops sell mobile phones and accessories which are brought into the country illegally without paying import duty. The shops and businesses in the restricted areas reportedly operate without permits, business licenses, and other revenues to the council, and allegedly avoid paying taxes. The officers reportedly buy personal cars and register with British Army number plates or make their own fake British Army plates and attach to the vehicles. When they leave the country, they sell the vehicles to Kenyans. The regiment sergeant major, who has been at the station for 4 years, is reported to be involved in the illegal trade of smuggled AFCO cigarettes out of the country using Batuk's security containers. These containers are reportedly never inspected by customs officers.
So your number?
According to submission by the Kenya Veterans for Peace to the Parliamentary Defense Committee, British soldiers patronize entertainment joints, fights in Nanyuki, and have at times been reported to have had a confrontation with other revelers, which at times results in fights. There have been some reported cases of injuries to women within or outside the British camp. Sexual actions have at times resulted in unwanted pregnancies and abandoned mixed-race children. Most soldiers are accused of violating the code of conduct through indiscipline. Some serious in nature are never investigated by the relevant local authorities nor British Army leadership. Neither is there a follow-up to ensure justice has been done to the victims. According to the Kenya Human Rights Commission, submission to the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Batuk has faced accusations from host communities related to cases of murder, public fights and fatal traffic hit and runs. Some of the sample cases include Agnes Wanjiru's murder by a British soldier in March 2012, fatal accident caused by a British Army bus at the Meru-Nanyuki junction, resulting in the death of the driver, and severe injuries to the other passengers on February 10, 2012. A hit and run where a Batuk lorry ran over a young girl in 2019 in Archer's Post, causing disability to the victim. Batuk operating beyond leased lands such as Losesia Group Ranch in Archer's Post, Samburu County. Fire at the 10,000 acres Loldaiga Wildlife Conservancy caused by Batuk from the use of white phosphorus. Threats and intimidation against human rights defenders by Kenya security agencies leading to arbitrary arrests. Labor rights violation from Kenyan employees at the Batuk barracks, sexual violence and exploitation. The Kenya Human Rights Commission is demanding reparations for all the atrocities committed to the different groups in the country, in line with the United Nations principles and guidelines, which provide for, amongst others, support, adequate compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantee of non-repetition.
For us, it's a racial issue. We find the way they've been doing things against our people and undermining our sovereignty, undermining our government and other institutions is purely racism. Because you cannot tell me someone lodges a complaint in Cyprus to British Army, he is compensated within 1 week. Here you lodge compensation even for 10 years, no one listens to you. So even the way MOD UK works, it works in a very discriminative way on the basis of the race, simply because we are black people. That's why we find a lot of injustice coming from Batuk.
According to a British High Commission spokesperson, the UK Secretary of State for Defence, John Haley, MP, has discussed with the Chief of the General Staff these alarming allegations of unacceptable behaviour by the service personnel deployed to Kenya. We take these allegations extremely seriously, and the Army has launched an inquiry into the conduct of those who have been deployed to Kenya. We expect the highest standards from our personnel, are committed to preventing sexual exploitation in any form, and through our zero tolerance policies will hold to account anyone found to be involved. The Royal Military Police and Batuk work closely with the Kenyan Police liaison officers, local community and county leadership to swiftly address any concerns with the Defence Serious Crime Command, investigating any allegations of serious or complex crime where necessary. However, for the victims of alleged Batuk atrocities, justice remains an illusion, dwindling far from the horizon. But there is hope for the daughters of Samburu and Laikipia counties that the parliamentary committee undertaking an inquiry will bring to book the perpetrators who left permanent scars on them.
It seems to be a standoff right now in terms of the Defence Cooperation Agreement between Kenya and the UK. On the basis that, okay, so this is what happened. In the Defence Cooperation Agreement that came before my committee, mischievously, someone had omitted that people who commit murder in Kenya or in the host country to the visiting troops can only be tried in their country. And we said, no, that cannot happen. That is how runaway murder, particularly like this one of Agnes Wanjiru, happened. So we said, no, we will not accept that. What we want to do is to make sure that they are subject to the laws of the land, that is the host country, so that all the visiting troops in Kenya, if they commit acts of murder or manslaughter or any other criminal aspect during their term of training in Kenya, they are supposed to be subjected to our Kenyan laws.
For decades now, justice has been elusive for dozens of victims of alleged Batuk atrocities touching on human rights violations. The parliamentary inquiry that is being undertaken by the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations provides the only hope for victims. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Achas Post, Samburu County.
Well, absolutely heartbreaking scenes there. We certainly hope justice will be served, and special thanks to the entire team led by Seth Olale who made this possible. We will keep an eye and ensure that justice is served no matter how long it takes. All right, we're taking a quick break here, back with much more in just a bit.
Scrap metal dealers in the country call for a review of the Scrap Metal Act, citing its failure to effectively regulate the trade.
Sour Petroleum Jelly repairs dry skin and moisturizes like no other. Non-sticky like no other. Great quality product from Pwani Oil.
Coming soon on Citizen TV.
Congratulations to you. You're going to be a mother.
A medical error.
Oh, gosh. Are you okay?
Yes. Changes her destiny.
I'm pregnant.
Wait, can you say that again? Did you say you were pregnant?
Now, who got you pregnant? I really don't know how it happened or when.
La Historia de Juana. Coming soon on Citizen TV. In a world where family is everything, how far will one man go to claim what he doesn't deserve? Viusasa brings you a new and exciting series, Ahadi. After years of lies, Hans, and often returns home, but the truth he's hiding could destroy everything.
Nataka ripoti ya Hans pamoja na mkewe.
Will he inherit the riches or face a bitter reality?
Anatokea mtu pasipojulikana, anakabidhiwa hii ofisi. Huu sio usia babangu.
Visit viusasa.com today and enjoy exclusive dramas.
Jukiwa General Agencies Limited. We are registered property managers in Kenya. We pay your rental income in advance so you don't have to deal with difficult tenants. Enjoy up to 10 times rental income advance with a friendly repayment plan. Are you selling your commercial building? Jukiwa General Agencies can give you advance payment as we finalize on the sale process. Visit our offices at State House Avenue, Kilimani, Tetu Apartments, Block C, or call us on 0743 227 881.
DevKey Steel Mill's state-of-the-art factory produces durable steel purely from iron ore. The DevKey Next Generation TMT Bars BS Grade 600 MPa is at the core of skyscrapers, bungalows, and bridges. Don't compromise on safety. Insist on DevKey Next Generation TMT Bars BS Grade 600 MPa, the first of its kind in Kenya with extra strength. DevKey Steel Mills. Buy Kenya, build Kenya.
You should be the next singing superstar.
Has dull and uneven skin tone taken away your confidence? Presenting Shalina Healthcare's new Epiglow. With power of triple radiance complex, an innovative technology that gives you glowing skin by reducing dark spots in 28 days. Skin science for a perfect glow. New Epiglow.
Royal Credit Limited, the majority shareholder of Direct Line, advises holders and prospective holders of motor vehicle insurance policies that any insurance covers issued by Direct Line Assurance Company are invalid. This is due to the illegal alteration of the company's CR12, imposing on Direct Line illegal shareholders and directors who are now running the company. Royal Credit Limited cannot guarantee payment of any claims by Direct Line, as Sections 23, 71 and 166 of the Insurance Act have been contravened. Under the prevailing circumstances, Royal Credit Limited cautions against any purchase of insurance policy from Direct Line.
When I have back pain, I reach for 2 tablets of Panadol Extra. It's boosted by caffeine for fast relief of strong pain, like headache, toothache, and muscle pain. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective relief from strong pain.
What are your academic goals and aspirations? Mount Kenya University is here to enable you achieve your goals.
I'll be taking you through this introductory part.
You can study online through our electronic learning. We also assure you of timely completion of your studies, as well as give you a wide range of academic programs to choose from. Ready to blend academics, talent, and extracurricular activities? Enroll with us today. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Hii ni ya kupunguza maumivu. Itapunguza pain yako chap chap.
Kaluma. Hata shosha yangu alikuwa anatumia Kaluma.
Unaweza aminia Kaluma kila saa. Kaluma ni timeless.
This is me at Stanbic Private Banking. What does it feel like? It's investing skillfully. It's planning wisely. It's living joyfully. It's banking easily. Visit www.stanbic.co.ke. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
All right, Kenya scrap metal dealers are calling for a comprehensive review of the Scrap Metal Act and its associated regulations. The Scrap Metal Dealers Association argues that the current framework disproportionately targets their industry, leaving the Scrap Metal Council ineffective. Dennis Otieno has the details.
In 2015, the National Assembly enacted the Scrap Metal Act to regulate the trade of scrap metal in the country. The formation of the Scrap Metal Council was a cornerstone of this legislation, aimed at ensuring its effective implementation. However, 9 years later, the Scrap Metal Dealers Association contends that the Act has done little to safeguard their business interests.
We are talking about 20,000-30,000 dealers across the country. These people need to be regulated. This industry needs to be checked. What we're having currently is an unascent Scrap Metal Council that does not have any authority. We want the Act to be changed. Let the Scrap Metal Council have powers to hire and fire. Let it be an independent body. I'm telling you, the money will pay through licenses is enough to take care of the Scrap Metal Council.
Trade in scrap metal has often been blamed for the vandalism of critical infrastructure, particularly along major highways. This has jeopardized the future of an industry that, according to the association, generates significant economic value, contributing up to 1 billion shillings daily.
The Inspector General of Police sits in the board of the Scrap Metal Council. You know, it will be easier. The PS Interior, Raymond Omolo, sits in the board of the Scrap Metal Council. It will be easier to engage him, you know, with us as an industry, sitting in the very same board.
The association is also advocating for more stringent measures to combat vandalism and protect public infrastructure, which they say is crucial for the industry's reputation and sustainability.
We are working with the DCI, we are working with the Inspector General, and we will ensure that our people are given a clear guideline of doing business. The issue of harassing and side shows by the police, those ones are not going to be accepted.
Additionally, the lobby is pushing for a favorable tax regime to help traders remain competitive in the global market.
They have decided again to slap us another 1.5% of the tax from one side and another 1.5 to the other side. What does that mean? If I take material to the company today, the company will deduct at least 1.5% from me and remit to the government.
You cannot pay all this licensing fee. As I've mentioned to you, $500,000. Then the government here comes and overtaxes us. You know, it's totally impossible. We are getting penalties, huge penalties. The police are on our case.
While scrap metal dealers have shown willingness to cooperate with the government on reforms, achieving long-term solutions will require tighter regulations and regional cooperation to combat smuggling networks. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, coffee cooperatives are urging the government to amend the direct settlement system, that's DSS, to allow them to recoup levies charged to farmers. National Coffee Cooperatives Union Chairperson Francis Ngone says that the current system has left cooperatives bearing the brunt of unpaid services as many farmers receive payments directly after sales. Now, the government introduced the DSS in August 2023, aiming to eliminate middlemen in the coffee value chain by ensuring that buyers pay farmers directly. While this initiative has streamlined payments, it has also led to unintended challenges for cooperatives, including loan defaults by farmers and limited working capital.
Our DSS today is handling a number of about 400 societies out of the total 650 societies in the country. So when we talk of the DSS now, bringing on board all the Kenya farmers, who are we have about 1.2 million farmers in the country, so we would expect about 1 million. So we can imagine the kind of challenges, considering that our DSS is still very young and it's also having challenges with the 400 societies.
Our work is to lobby for the farmer, and we are also farmers. And we are telling the government, please, do things that are going to assist the farmer, and everything that they do, let the farmer be at the center. When they do that, the farmer being at the center, I don't think anything will go wrong.
Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has announced plans to open 10 county aggregation and industrial parks known as KAIPs across various counties by the end of the year. The DP says that the wheels are in motion with the construction of the first cohort of 19 KAIPs at an advanced stage and the second cohort of 16 KAIPs also underway. Kindiki held a progress and status update meeting on the first cohort of 19 KAIPs with the respective county governors led by the Council of Governors Chairperson Ahmed Abdullahi. He emphasized that the government is expediting the provision of access roads and other facilities to ensure the operationalization of the projects.
This year, about between 6 and 10 of the KAIPs, all those issues I have said here, the three issues of the brick and mortar completion, the production issues and marketing issues will be resolved. We can actually commission between 6 and 10 KAIPs towards the end of this calendar year, 10 months from now, if we work on a daily basis. And that will be a huge score for both levels of government.
This is me at Stanbic Private Banking. What does it